wrap up today of all the books I read this month. I'll start with a book for Nonfiction November. I picked up this book at the Goodwill, and it's Shrill by Lindy West, Notes from a Loud Woman. And I picked it up because the first few pages I read were hilarious. They were really funny, and it's a feminist nonfiction. And it's about a story about her life and the feminist ideas she's came across. I don't agree with all the feminist ideas in her book, but it is pretty good. It's pretty funny. I would recommend it if you were into feminism reading. And it was okay. It wasn't the best that I've read by any means, but it was very funny and very well written. The next books I read by Scott Westerfeld, and I read these early on in November, and they only took me a few days, so I only read 2 of the series because I haven't picked up the 3rd yet. But I was pleasantly surprised by these. They were recommended by a friend who loves YA reading, and they reminded me of the Hunger Games. They're set in a dystopian world where the girl is living in a society where everybody has plastic surgery, and they all become pretty, hence the name Pretties. And I didn't think I was going to like it, just based on the description, looking at the book covers. I thought, it's probably not that good. But it's really good, actually. It has a lot of adventure. It's written well. It goes fast. The characters are interesting. So I was pleasantly surprised by these. And I will definitely be reading the 3rd and the 4th book. The other series I read very early on in November as well was the Make Habit series. And I was excited about these because I loved The Princess Diaries. This series is based on a girl who has brain surgery, and the girl is put in a supermodel's body. And so this book, this trilogy goes along, telling her story about her in a new body that she doesn't necessarily like, and her going against the corporation that put her into this new body. And I didn't really like them. I only picked these up for $1 or so at the Goodwill. I probably will be passing these on to somebody who liked them, but they're an okay novel for teen read. They're not my favorite contemporary novels for teen. Another book I read was Everything, Everything, and I ordered this one on ebook from the library, and it's by Nicola Yoon, I think is how you say her name, if I remember it right. And Everything, Everything tells a story about Madeline and Ollie, and Madeline is very, very sick, and she's allergic to the outside world. So that's the premises of the book. And Ollie moves in next door, and he's the boy next door. So it goes on their adventure of her building one of her first relationships, and it was an okay book. It wasn't hard to read. I didn't have to push myself, but it was an okay teen read once again, and I wouldn't necessarily recommend it. It was okay. I was really excited about it because I thought the cover was beautiful and the idea was beautiful, but the characters really, and the plot and the story just didn't really draw me in. The other book I read was that I was really excited to read about, Unexpected Everything by Morgan Matson, and I've read a few of her other books, and they were okay as well. This is a teen contemporary read, and it's a coming-of-age story. A girl named Andy, and it tells stories about Palmer, Toby, and Bree. All these girls have changing summers, and her summer starts out with a political scandal in her family, and her whole summer changes from that. I didn't really like the book. I was almost bought this book because of the beautiful cover, and I've read stuff by her before that was pretty good. But it didn't draw me in. The characters weren't that great. I had to push myself to finish the book, and I really wanted to finish it, but it only took me a few days, but it wasn't a very good contemporary YA read for me. It just wasn't my preference. Now, my last 2 books were probably some of my favorites, and my favorite book. One of them I picked up, and it was a book I actually bought from the store, and it was Fangirl by Rainbow and Rowell. And I've read other Rainbow and Rowell stories, and I love them. And I loved this one as well. This tells a story about Kath, and it's about her freshman year of college, which I didn't wholly relate to this point in her life, but Rainbow and Rowell has a way of drawing you in and making you want to know about characters that you probably shouldn't really relate to. But she's very good at characterization. There isn't a ton going on in the plot, and there isn't a whole lot that happens to her. It's just a coming-of-age story, but it's very well written. The character, like I said, draws you in, and I really love this edition of it because it was pink, and that's the reason I picked it up. The other book by Rainbow and Rowell, what is that book? Oh, the other book by Rainbow and Rowell, Eleanor and Park, is still my favorite, but I love the cover of this one. I picked this one up at Target, and it's got these beautiful drawings on the inside, in the front, and in the back, which were really fun to look at after I read the book. But it's a pretty good story, and it's I would recommend it definitely to teens or young adults. It's really good for those ages or anybody who's really into YA. My favorite book I read in November was A Monster's Call. It wasn't nonfiction, but it has won a lot of awards for a reason. It's beautifully written, the prose are really good. I can see why it won awards. It draws you in, it draws you into the character. It's a bit of an adventure. It's about a young boy named Connor who's going through a really tough time in life with his mom being really sick, and a monster decides to call on him. This book is illustrated by Jim Kay, which is the guy who illustrated the illustrated versions of Harry Potter, and it's very beautiful and it's dark, just like the book is. This book is, I wouldn't say it's just YA, it's definitely, some children can read this, depending on how scared they are of monsters, but YA, adult, anybody could read this one and love it. And I'm really excited for the movie coming out for this one. So, that's everything for my November wrap up. I started probably 7 or 8 other books in November, which I haven't finished, and that's going to be what I'm going to finish in December. And thanks for watching everything. Please subscribe below if you want.